for EA. And much of our predictions so far have been pretty spot on. Just to reacquaint you guys who are just tuning in, joining me for the reaction is Greg Dietz.
Hey.
We got Ramen as well.
Hola.
And joining us is our convention photographer, Alex.
Hello.
So guys, we just saw the EA press conference. There were some things that were shown that we predicted spot on. I would say so. So I think we should begin from the top. They showed off Titanfall 2 right off the bat. Titanfall 2 with single and multiplayer. It looked good.
That shit looked awesome.
Yeah.
It looked really, really good. That's really maybe the highlight of that press conference for me was seeing the new Titanfall.
Mm-hmm.
It looked awesome.
As like I said, as a fan of the first game, I'm really excited to see this dynamic of basically the Titan. The Titan now is going to be a boy and his dog sort of thing, and so that should be really fun. But the multiplayer, it looks like it's more of the same, just with a shit ton of new stuff, and that's awesome. The grappling hook had me just stoked.
The grappling hook looks so fucking awesome.
And being able to grab other players as they eject from their Titans with you, that's a great feature. Because that's always been one of the weird things where it's like you both have to eject at the same time, and now you're flying through the air, kind of just firing at each other.
Yeah.
And now you can pull a scorpion and fucking pull him in.
Yeah, definitely.
I think the biggest part about that, though, about the new game, is that it's also going to be on the PS4. Because it was an Xbox One and PC only game, and now we're expanding into the PS4.
Yeah. I mean, we had talked about this before on the podcast. I kind of felt that really hurt Titanfall for it not being completely multi-platform.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, now you'll be able to play it on just about anything, and I think the game now has a really good chance of taking off.
It does. The game looks really good. The graphics looks great. I like that the grappling hook is great, especially at the end when you grab onto somebody and just kick them out of the air after a minute.
Yeah, that shit was so cool.
Titanfall looks really good. Multiplayer looks great. I'm excited. I played the first one. It was a lot of fun. This one looks more the same. That didn't have a single player mode finally, or a story mode finally.
Yeah, and the story, the enemies that you fight actually look pretty interesting. It's like you fight other humans, and then they have weird looking little alien things,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm curious to see how that
Yeah, I think because the first Titanfall game, the whole idea of the story is that there's two factions that are warring for basically material or fuel, if you will. This game looks like it's going to be a bit more in lieu with one side won already, and there's a bunch of places that haven't been touched for a long time, and so we're going to get to see some alien creatures and stuff like that. So
yeah.
Titanfall was shown. Looks pretty good. Then afterwards, they went straight into a good long segment on Madden. Madden 17 and showed us some new gameplay footage, as well as.
Okay, hold on, 1 second. I want to stop you right there.
Okay.
They hardly had any actual gameplay footage. It was these fucking cinematic I feel like this press conference had the least amount of actual gameplay footage.
I thought there was some gameplay footage shown, or something they're kind of aiming for graphic wise. Spent a lot of time on the esports section of this of Madden, showing that they were showcasing some of these players who are new deep in esports in Madden. There's a problem and then serious stuff that was something. And basically it's hey, these guys they compete and they have a competitive division in our company, and this is something that we like.
Yeah. See, I felt like that was really, really cool. That they were hey, look, this is what esports is what our esports is about. You know what I mean? And they're giving people different You know how they have like the different leagues that you can do. You can run your own league. You can be a part of the EA's like official leagues and stuff like that.
Mhm.
I feel like that was super cool.
I'm gonna disagree with you on it being super cool. I didn't think it was that cool at all. Really, I thought it was a way for EA to kind of push their own professional gaming league, if you will, trying to further that instead of just accepting what's already out there. Because that's EA for you. EA goes, well, we could do it better, and it's like, well, why not just work with them? Why do you have to try to do it better? So I just, to me, I was just like, this is sad, EA. This is really sad.
See, I agree and disagree with you. I agree that it was a massive disappointment to have that in there because of how much time they spent it. It's great that they're looking to support the esports leagues and all that, and try and make a bigger thing. But the problem that I ran into was they spent so much time on it, they didn't actually talk about any game stuff.
That's true.
It was
Yeah,
all about this competitive
just-
league that
yeah.
they're putting together.
Mhm.
Well, okay, that's great, but you can put out just a regular press release or host it on your own time and do something else. This is supposed to be about like what's coming up.
Yeah, exactly.
You didn't talk
Yeah.
about the game at all. You said some very I was taking notes the entire time. You said a little bit about how there's going to be a new commentary team for the game. There's going to be new options in the franchise mode, and then all of a sudden, and there was no, that was it. Those were the only new things that they're adding, other than new competitive modes, which are tying directly into their esports.
Yeah.
The only really cool thing they mentioned about the esports is that it's actually going to be hosted and broadcast on ESPN3 and ESPN2, which is awesome. But it's the only thing that's actually noteworthy out of that entire takeaway.
Yeah,
Yeah.
pretty much.
I just-
I was just kind of excited to see that, they was like, okay, like, I think when they had started, he had said, he was like, well, like our games have all these like sports stars and athletes, but like this is about you, and you guys are like the athletes in this league, and they had a little story of the two rivals in Madden. Like, I don't know, I kind of like that they was like, hey guys, we understand you guys are here, even though you guys may not be as popular as like StarCraft 2 or CS:GO, but hey, like these are our people that show you guys what's up. You know what I mean? I liked it, but I do agree that it maybe might have taken a little bit too much time.
Right. And again, they usually do this every year. They have their sports section, and it's usually longer than the other games that they showcase. So yeah, like Madden was shown, and people either be excited or not. Showcasing the esports scene, that's fine, it's whatever. Supporting $1 million to it's no joke either, though. That's pretty cool of them.
Yeah, that was kind of cool that they brought out the play to give section that you were just talking about, where they're going to donate money and stuff too.
Yeah.
But it's weird because they made it sound like, oh, well, if you complete these challenges, you're going to earn money for charities. But at the very end there, he's like, and we'll donate it no matter what, pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was
So what you're saying is I don't have to actually play your games, and you're still going to give the money away. Why am I caring?
Yes, yeah, they didn't.
It was a big pat myself on the back for them.
Yeah,
Exactly.
but I mean, I just felt they didn't really explain how it's supposed to work. They didn't really explain anything. They had talked about some of the cool stuff that you get if you do some of the challenges or whatever they are. It was oh, you get a rare pack of whatever the fuck it is and whatever.
That was only in one game, by the way.
Yeah, only one game, but they listed I think about 5 games. Yeah, I felt like they should have maybe explained it more. But hey, if 1 million players get this challenge, then we'll donate $1 for every person or something like that,
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I would kind of agree. It was kind of them just kind of jerking themselves off. Look, guys, we're charitable. We're not an evil company. Look, guys, we're nice.
I think lesson learned out of that whole thing is tie your shoes before you run. So we went from Madden, and then they transitioned into Mass Effect. They showed off some behind-the-scenes stuff for Mass Effect Andromeda. They kind of did the same thing in the previous year. I think it was for Star Wars, I think it was. I think it was for Mass Effect as well. Those behind-the-scenes look at Mass Effect Andromeda. They showcase a few gameplay snippets here and there of the actual game. The game looks gorgeous. Holy crap!
Yeah,
Well,
it looks
okay,
really
now,
good.
keep in mind though, we didn't actually see any gameplay. All we saw was cinematic
Renders.
footage. So it's
Yeah.
full
Okay, what-
renders. What do we actually see as far as how it looks?
Yeah,
They had a few,
and
they
they
had a few
didn't really.
third-person. Well, okay.
ahead,
They had a few
go ahead.
third-person shots of him shooting at that giant creature coming at him. We saw there was a couple other moments where he was he walked out of like a door. To me, that was just to show that if that's not gameplay, at the very least it was to show that the gameplay will be similar enough to the past games that it won't seem, with the pun not intended, alien.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say that there was no like gameplay representative, because that's what it was to me. But it wasn't like what you're saying with the Titanfall trailer, where we actually saw like a HUD and all that kind of stuff. Because I'll even say this much: like wherever that guy was fighting those things, it didn't look like a fully rendered space. But we also saw them driving a vehicle in third person. So there was a few things that were representative of gameplay.
Yeah,
Rep-
that's- oh, should I go ahead?
I would just say like so. I would have just kind of liked for them to I want to see what it's gonna look like actually like in game. I want to see like what it's gonna look like. The other thing that kind of got me, like, I'm not too big of a fan of Mass Effect, and maybe Greg can like
I'm gonna
chime in on here, is they had said in the beginning that basically like, okay, like this is like a whole new world, like this is like years ahead, so like new planets, new races, you know what I mean? So I mean, like, I just kind of feel like are they just throwing out like all the characters that were in the original 3 or what?
I think it takes place in the not distant quote unquote future, but definitely in the future, where all the characters that were in the original trilogy aren't necessarily either alive, or if they are alive, they're not playing big roles. Like they're kind of like, because the problem that's going to come from that, the big issue that's going to come from that is if you try to add in any of the characters from the original Mass Effect games, you run the risk of kind of maybe bumping into somebody else's story. The great thing about the Mass Effect trilogy was that every decision you make has a consequence eventually. So if a character in your story dies, they shouldn't show up in Andromeda, right?
Yeah.
That wouldn't make any sense. So I think it's a complete, like, not a slate wipe, but definitely a situation where one of the 3 primary endings of Mass Effect 3 will be quote unquote canon. That'll be the canon one, and they'll kind of run with that. And I think it'll be the center one where like, everything kind of meshed together, the robotics and the peoples, or the organics, basically making everybody bioorganic. Not bioorganic, but you know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
I could be wrong about that. They could just straight go with the Reapers die ending. They could go with the other. I don't know. I don't know what they're doing. I don't know how they're doing that, but it's definitely, you're not going to see any of the past characters. It'll be, and I think also, just throwing this out there, but from what it sounds like to me is they're exploring an entirely new galaxy. So there'd be even if it takes place a month after after 3, you're even more so not going to run into the past characters because they're not even around. They're not anywhere near your character. So that could also be a thing. They did show the Citadel. They did show a Citadel or a Citadel-like structure. That might be the ship that you take from galaxy to galaxy. So we'll see. We'll see. I'm really excited for it. Like I said, the brief moments of things that looked like gameplay, I was kind of like, okay, so it's going to be very similar cover-based shooter kind of thing. It seems more explorative instead of direct story elements. Where in the first in the other Mass Effect games, it was you knew where to go, you knew what to do, and you had to get it done. This seems more like you could go here, 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 or here. Just understand that things might be like you might have to level up over here instead of going over here first. Like there's more freedom.
Yeah.
But,
well, I mean, what's like here's just kind of like the problem I have with them showing what they showed was like, okay, they said all these things like, yeah, it's going to be like way more expansive. You're going to be able to do more. It's going to be less. We're going to be able to explore like a little bit better. It's like they're saying this. Show it. Show me this shit.
Something about this entire press conference.
That's just what I want.
Something about this entire press conference, Ramen.
Yeah.
Is the thing they showed to me, the thing they showed to everybody is games take a long time to make, guys. They're real hard.
Yeah.
Yeah. Of course.
So, nothing this year except for Battlefield 1. Sorry about that.
Yeah. Definitely, there were some games they showed off that are not coming out for a while. And it's looking like, a same case again for most of these games that we've shown. They're not coming for a while, except for Battlefield 1. It seems to be the only concrete games coming out this year. But yeah, the Mass Effect looked good, and it's definitely something that we'll keep an eye on as time goes on. The next thing they talked about real quick was EA Access Origin games. They added more games to their Origin stuff to EA Access. Battlefront was one of the big ones they announced that's going to be added. So take what it is. It's just more games for people to play on that stuff. That play the gift thing we kind of talked earlier, giving money to charity as far as daily objectives, which is cool. Like hey, you give money to charities that are needed. By playing this game, you're paying for these games or transactions from these games to charity, which is fine. That's all that's been done. And after that was a good long stretch of FIFA. And it's something we predicted in the pre-show. It's like we predicted that they're gonna have a good portion on sports, specifically on the soccer portion because it's big in
the world.
Yeah, in the world.
Everywhere but America.
Yes.
Pretty much.
And the funny thing about this press conference was really weird was that they had a press conference going on at the same time. They had one that was in LA at E3 proper, and then you had one that's going on in England right now. That they were hosting at the same time with Peter Moore.
That was really weird. Like it was
I think it was a way for them to get more media there because they're not at E3. They don't have the big area, the big hall that they're used to having. So they needed to have a way to bring more people in. So they had two separate ones, which, in the case of FIFA, allowed them to bring in, the coach, bring him in and actually have him there, rather than just being like, oh, well, this is the person we're going to have there, and then have to worry about where they're going to find their athlete and things like that. So I think that was a good call on their part, honestly, to have two going like that and to have them go back and forth because it allowed them to prep things on one side while the other side was doing their thing, and it just gave them more time.
Okay, now see, like that would... I mean, I kind of see what you're saying, and that does make a lot of sense, but it's like, what the fuck do they really have to prep? They didn't really show much. They didn't. I mean, like they had. The only I could figure out that maybe they needed prep time for. Again, like I wasn't there, but this is just like me like assuming is that whole like acting thing when they brought out that one dude, the whole soccer thing, and he did his like over the top like really fucking overly expressive fucking acting.
Well, something I want to throw in here on that point is that past E3s, before EA even started doing this, getting into sorry, I started watching the Battlefield 1 thing.
Yeah, I'm looking at it too. It looks fucking sick.
It looks actually really good. Past E3s, it wasn't. You didn't have to worry about. I gotta look away. Appeasing an audience. You had the audience that was there was quite literally just like, all right, what do you got to show? And us normies, if you will, who didn't get to go, we either got to watch it on G4, or we had to wait for a fucking DVD to come out to watch it. Or like, the fucking Game Informer's, or Games, or whatever that magazine was, not GameSpy.
I know what you mean. And any of the gaming magazines.
Yeah. We had to wait for them to come out to tell us all the news. And so they didn't have to worry about making sure that everyone was represented, if you will. Here comes E3 in the modern age of streaming. They have an audience. They're no longer appealing to the trade groups. They're appealing to us. That's the idea. The idea of having a separate thing of like, hey, we're here live in London, was no more than to let us know that everyone is represented, that everyone around the world is who they give a shit about. They wanted to make sure that we knew that EA is not just an American thing, and that they care about more than just being in LA.
Yeah.
That's all it was.
That's actually a really good point, because they could have literally had both of them going and never told us, and you never would have known.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely true.
And everything they showed in London gave us no new information.
Yeah, that's true. I feel like that was a move just to appease the Euro crowd. Because
not just the Euro crowd, but like everybody like who's over here going like, well, we know that everyone around the world plays video games now.
That's true. That is another point to bring up. Is like you're definitely right in terms of like kind of capitalist showcasing that that not only U.S. plays the game, but also like everybody in the world does it. Not just
this entire conference came off to me as EA just going, look guys, we're not this evil company that everyone thinks we are. We're not this money-hungry group that doesn't give a shit about games. We actually do, and we're going to prove it to you by not giving you any games. It was weird.
Greg, God, that is like the fucking quote of this press conference right there.
No. Here's the weirdest part of this whole thing, right? So the EA originals that they touched on, and I'll go more into depth in that in a little bit, because I think that's actually a really interesting thing that they're doing. But the only game that they actually said, because it's their first one that they're doing this with, is a Swedish developer. They brought the Swedish developer to Los Angeles. Why? There was literally, if you're hosting this in London as well, I mean, I may not be the best with geography, but I'm pretty damn sure London is closer to Sweden than Los Angeles is closer to Sweden.
Yeah,
and another reason right there, another example of why the London shit was just contrived, and it was a way for them to be like, we're not evil guys, we're not, we care about everybody.
I mean, like, if they're paying the bill, to you to come to LA, I'm a Swedish guy. I'm like, all right, cool. But
I can only assume that they're also going to have him actually at E3 itself showing his game.
That's true.
So I'm assuming, obviously, so I'm kind of just
because he's a. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I mean, if he's actually going to be at E3, he would have to be in Los Angeles because E3 starts tomorrow. So it would make sense for them to have him here in LA anyways.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, we don't know that for sure. It could easily have just been, like Greg was saying, he was just in London instead. It would have been like, this is a legitimate area. Whereas right now it kind of looks like, well, they just did London because.
Yeah, definitely.
Like my big thing is I don't hate EA. I've never hated EA. I've always been not necessarily a supporter, but I've never been on the bandwagon of like EA is this evil company and the worst in the world. I think that shit's ridiculous. But to further that point, I think that EA thinks that everyone thinks that, and this conference really did show that they are making an attempt to appease that group. Because if you watch the Andromeda thing and then also the Star Wars little like video they made, it was more about this like, let's show what it looks like in our offices, and it's not a goddamn sweatshop.
Mm-hmm.
Let's make sure everyone understands that we care about the games, and that's always what we've cared about. That we don't care about money as much. Look, guys, everyone loves us.
I mean, here.
That's what it looked like to me.
I mean, I'll touch on that in a bit, but I'll say now about that is like, for the Star Wars segment, I feel like they were like showcasing like we have these companies who are actively working on these games. We're going to showcase these companies and behind the scenes what they're working on, and just like, look, we got like 4 or 5 studios working on Star Wars. Star Wars games are coming. Like, don't worry. That's what I got.
You know, I might be the only one that says this or the only one that thinks this, but the Star Wars section was the most disappointing pile of shit I have seen in a long time.
Yeah.
Like,
I agree.
you didn't do anything with it. You just
the only thing
like,
I saw.
Here's
Sorry, I'm sorry.
Here's like 6 game developers that we're working with, different studios. Here's a general idea of what some of them are going to be doing, like they're good Battlefront 2, and then we're going to just have these like random old other stuff. They mentioned the Old Republic by name. They didn't give us any name for Respawn Entertainment. Visceral Games apparently is working on a mobile title. That's what that looked like, at least.
That was Visceral. That was a company out in Sacramento, actually.
That was
Capital Games.
EA something. Yeah, Capital.
And that game's already out, by the way. I'm currently playing it.
Yeah, but so I mean, they didn't really show us anything. The only thing that I would consider like hey, this is something we're doing is when they showed Battlefront 2 for about 3.5 seconds, they showed somebody using a VR with it.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Right.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
Well,
the
other thing they did show something that I thought was interesting, and it was off of Visceral's game that they're making, and it was a guy walked out of some hut, and you saw a bunch of Star Destroyers up in the sky, and then a few TIE fighters flew by, and you saw the flag, which looked like did not look like the Imperial logo. It looked like the I want to say New Order.
Yeah.
Whatever was in Episode 7.
Yeah, which would make sense because if they're trying to break away from retelling the same story and put their own spin on it with their own characters, it would make sense to try and set it in that general time frame.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Plus, plus these games are going to be tied to the movies in some sort of fashion. So there's definitely going to be some correlation between the games and the films. The Star Wars segment, you know, I agree with most of you guys. I think that they didn't really show much. It did the same thing last year, 2 years ago, like I said prior in the predictions. That
there's a fucking Zeppelin. Holy shit.
Sorry, guys. Obviously, we're all watching the Battlefield 1
yes.
multiplayer stuff right now. I'll make sure that I drop a link into the chat as well if you're watching once we're about to wrap this up so that you can jump over.
Oh, yeah.
For sure. And I'm sure we'll throw up a host for it or something like that, too, just because this game does look pretty good. It's Battlefield. I mean, they know what they're doing with it.
I just don't understand why didn't they show this during the fucking press conference?
Because they wanted to show it during this. This is all live play, to be fair.
Yeah, I know, but it's just
I'll say this with the EA conference.
More hype with this.
I'll say this with the EA conference. A lot of what they showed, I am excited about. I want to play the new Mass Effect. I want to play the new Star Wars games. I want to play this Battlefield 1. I'm trying to remember some other stuff they showed. I'm drawing a fucking blank. It all sounds exciting. It sounds exciting. Oh, Titanfall, I'm definitely excited about Titanfall 2. But the problem that we've come across here is that it seemed like that what they were concentrating on wasn't what they should have been concentrating on. And I think they were assuming that people were just going to be okay with. Now, the other thing I do have to point out, and I just thought of this. EA is a multi-console company, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, they touch literally everything.
They might be saving some stuff for the Microsoft, Sony, or PC conference.
Oh, no, I agree. We're definitely going to see more Battlefield 1 later in the conferences, the official E3 conferences for Microsoft. Most likely for Microsoft for Battlefield, I think, just because that seems to be where they tend to go. We're definitely going to see more from EA during those, though.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
They did the same thing last year. They had some footage of their game in the press conference, but then like they said, like if you tune into the Sony press conference, you see like another trailer or the full version of this trailer. So
yeah,
it's more like a tease to what they're going to show in more in the other big major press conference.
And everything they covered in the Battlefield 1 in their conference definitely leads me to believe like you have to now watch Microsoft or Sony's, because literally here's what they told you in the press conference for them. It's going to be 64-player matches available, 32 versus 32. They confirmed horses, biplanes, zeppelins, tanks, motorcycles, that it's going to have dynamic weather, environmental destruction. All that's going to affect how you actually play and move around. They're going to have behemoth vehicles, and that there's going to be an open beta later this summer.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
Yeah.
They didn't tell us anything else, so there's more there. We know there's more there.
Oh yeah, there's definitely. And we'll see more of it during the days of E3. There's like one thing I want to touch on real quick. So EA announced to have a EA Originals program they're launching, and it's a way for them to support smaller devs to kind of showcase their games. I think the start of this was like last year when they had Yarny, and
that was Unraveled.
Yeah.
That was the name of the game. Yeah.
The character's on Yarny, but the game is Unraveled.
So this is something E3's been doing for a while, to be honest. Just not as publicized, and it's not with as much details have been made to the public as they just did. As we just heard, 100% of the profit from these games are supposed to go to the small developers. That's huge. Yeah. They're basically going out saying, hey, we're going to give you all of the support that we give every one of our games for free.
Yeah.
And that's gigantic.
That's pretty
now,
good.
Granted, that may be, we're going to give it to you for free, but you can't publish with anybody else for the next decade. But still, it's a big step forward, and it's a big step forward in transparency as far as EA is concerned, because traditionally they are not ones that tell us what kind of business deals they come to.
Yeah.
Right, and I think this furthers what I was saying about the idea of it being them trying to appease the group that was always pissed off at them or saying they're the worst company. What they were doing this entire E3 in terms of like,
oh my.
Or this conference, I know I'm watching it too.
Yeah, the Zep. For those who are not watching this,
and players are jumping out of the fucking Zep. Oh my god, that was.
It's gonna crush somebody.
Dude,
oh
like,
yeah.
It was so cool seeing everybody jumping out. Like everyone's like abandoned ship.
We didn't hear it.
So for those who are not watching the Battlefield 1, what happened was there was a giant Zeppelin on the field. People were on it, and they were using it as basically a floating weapons platform. It got taken down by the enemy team, and it actually fell onto the battlefield itself, where people were just bailing out of it and parachuting off, trying to survive the crash. And now the wreckage is literally coating part of the battlefield. You're fighting through the wreckage, fighting around the wreckage.
That's really
so
cool.
sick.
It's awesome.
Wow, I have to. I'll check this out after the stream.
Anyway, what I was furthering with is that, like you said, EA is trying to be transparent. They're trying to be a better company overall, and I think that there was some ways during this conference where they did it correctly, and other ways where they didn't. Like you said, the transparency with the indie games and giving free content and stuff like that. That's great. That's fucking fantastic. However, the stuff where they're like, and we're doing a donation thing. The donations, guys. Donations. It seemed contrived. It seemed like they were just trying to appease or pander, if you will. And I was like,
it definitely wasn't needed. If it was something where like, hey, for the donations thing, if we get we'll do like Anthony was saying earlier, for every player that completes one challenge, and we have 5 games, so 5 different challenges, you can earn up to $5 per player if you complete all 5 challenges yourself. And we'll donate $1, so like I said, 5 per person if they complete them all, no matter what. Yeah. Which means it could be 100,000, it could be 5 million. However many people complete this is what we donate.
Yeah.
That would have actually been going out on a limb and literally putting their ass on the line and saying, hey, we care, we actually want this to be a thing, we're trying to get the community involved. Whereas, like you're just saying, with how it is right now, it's just, hey, we're donating money, look how good we are, aren't we awesome?
Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
Yep.
I do want to touch on one last thing on this press conference was they showed off, they're talking about the indie dev and supporting them. The indie developer, who I think it's called Zoink, the company, showcased the game Faye, or FE, as we pronounce it. the game itself, it's very it's like oh man, what's the game on the PS Vita, the paper game where you can actually like control
It's like God, what was it? Journey, I think it was.
It's like a mix of it is like a mix of Journey, but also like a mix of, because like the way that the art style is very polygon, kind of like paper-ish way, the way it looks. Very unique game. Like, it's very pretty, and you're going around the entire world, you're making sounds, and you kind of just know where in the game. You kind of just like figure out what this character or the thing is talking to you or communicating in some way. It's a very interesting game, and it's very it has this dull beauty to it as well. So I'm not quite sure if I really like how that looks on them, but like it generally it's a very interesting game, very open world, and I'm kind of curious to see how that develops. We'll see more of it probably during these next couple of days at E3. Just off first-hand basis, it looks interesting. I want to see more of it. So
Yeah.
overall,
That type of game definitely isn't my fare. I'm not really a huge fan of those open worlds. We have absolutely no idea what we're doing type of things. I kind of like a little bit of structure, but it definitely looks interesting. I can definitely see the appeal for those who are into those kind of just adventure games.
definitely.
Yeah.
So
Like, to me, it reminded me a lot of like Journey. It was like Journey-esque with a art style that reminded me also of like Ori and the Blind Forest.
oh yeah, definitely,
Yeah.
I definitely get that vibe too as well.
Yeah, it was art and substance over like highly visualized graphics. They
Yeah.
they definitely wanted to look like something that's completely original. I will say this though, what's really funny is my nephews, they're used to playing what they see their dad play or what their friends play. So 90% of the time it was Call of Duty. And recently they got Fallout 4 and they were playing that. They love that. And now they have Overwatch, which I'm really thankful for, because I feel that Overwatch is a really good, like, it's a really, whatever. We've talked about Overwatch. However, when they were watching the conference with me, they both were just highly unimpressed with Feed. They thought it was, they both called it stupid. They both said it looked dumb. And and instead of like arguing with them, I was like, why? Why does it look dumb? And the argument I heard was because the graphics don't look good.
Yep.
And instead of, I'll have a talk with them later about graphics and shit like that, but that's the centralized idea that we have to deal with when it comes to AAA games is, does it look good? Does it look realistic enough? And to me, that's nonsense. That's why I'm so happy that Overwatch has done as well as it did, because it does not look realistic in any way, shape, or form. And I really hope that they do understand at some point that people in general, not just my nephews, but people in general understand that graphics don't make the game.
Yeah, and that's the thing too that, in my opinion, indie studios have always been fighting against is they don't have the budget and time to make those hyper-realistic games. And honestly, like in this example for this game, hyper-realism would not work well. It just wouldn't. You need an artistic style. You need to have that kind of like goofy, weird change to it. Because if you put it hyper-realistic, now all of a sudden you're changing what people are going to expect out of the game. The game is you go around getting music and using music to travel around, and your enemies are people who silence music.
Yeah.
You can't have that be super realistic and then expect it to have the same impact.
Yeah.
So it's just unfortunately like these really cool ideas that sometimes people have. Like, I like the premise of the idea of the game, even if I'm not particularly interested in getting it myself. I think it's a really, really awesome idea, and it's really interesting to see somebody try and pull something off like that. And unfortunately, like you said, most of the people who would probably get the most out of it, find it the most interesting, are younger generations of gamers, and they're not going to be interested because they're used to, the hyper-realistic Battlefield, Call of Duty, even Mass Effect to a certain degree is hyper-realistic. And you're just going to lose a lot of people because of that.
Right.
Yeah.
Just to kind of go off topic here for a second, something that's really funny about this Battlefield 1 gameplay is they keep switching between players, and you see squads down at the bottom of the screen, and like it's cracking me up that I'm seeing like Richard Sherman, Major Nelson, and Richard Sherman on the same team. First off, which is crazy. I'm seeing Captain Sparkles and Jack Frags teamed up with Gavin Free and Bernie from Esco and fucking. It's crazy. The names that I'm seeing pop up on the corner of the screen. I'm like, all these motherfuckers are there playing this game. Like, it's a celebrity duel.
They have some fucking Terry Crews, Wiz Khalifa, fucking Lupe Fiasco's on one of the teams. Like, what the hell?
Yeah.
It's fucking nuts. It's hilarious because it's really fascinating. It's fascinating to watch these like guys who do other things. Like the Game Theorist, he's in the particular squad that's on screen right now. It's
Wait, time out. I'm gonna stop you right there. I just saw what is probably my favorite part of Battlefield finally brought back into play, and that's the medic class. He just healed and revived people.
Oh shit.
The medic class has always technically been there.
Well, but for a while there, they changed it from like a medic class to a support class, where like yes, you get some health out of it, but you're also giving them ammo. This looks like it's more dedicated to you're a medic.
Nice.
Well, when I played 4, there was a class that would throw down Stone Mountains. There, Jesus Christ. There was a class that would throw down a health pack, and if any player was standing on that, that's how they would heal. Plus, that class also had a defibrillator, which would revive players.
Yeah,
so
I remember that.
Yeah,
but I mean, I'm talking about like the newer ones, like Hardline and stuff like that. There's no medic class.
Hardline had something where you could revive teammates. I don't remember what it was because that game as a whole was terrible. But I remember being able to revive teammates.
So crazy. So the rapper, the game, and Gavin Free are on the same team.
Yep.
We have Spartan 117 in there.
Yeah, that's the Chiefs there.
So to wrap this all up, guys, what final thoughts on this EA press conference? Actually, I'll put it this way: if you were to give a grade to the EA press conference, what would you give it? Greg, I'm gonna start with you.
I'd give it a solid C-. They didn't show enough gameplay, but they did announce enough things that make me excited for their future. The problem is that again, like without gameplay, without games like coming out this year, like we only had 2, which is Titanfall and Battlefield 1. So with those 2 games that I'm definitely going to play, that's why they don't get a straight D. But without gameplay for every fucking thing else, it gets a C-.
Okay. Ramen?
Yeah, I would have to agree with that. C-. Said they didn't show too much, but they showed Titanfall. It had me excited, and I'm watching this Battlefield 1 and fucking drooling over it, and I'm excited about those basic 2 things. Everything else was kind of like usual EA fare.
Gotcha. Okay. Alex?
I think I'm actually going to be a bit more harsh on this, and I'm going to have to explain why. I'm giving them a D. I wanted to give them a D+, but honestly, I have to give them a D. They didn't show enough of the games at all, in my opinion. The Mass Effect, they could have shown more. They could have shown more in Battlefield for the actual conference. I'm keeping the live stream that they're doing now as a completely separate entity because it's not the official conference.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
There was very little of Star Wars actually shown. They kind of touched on only a few points, and that was mostly like, hey, look, we have this many people, this many different studios working on it. Well, that's impressive, but it's not actually showing me anything about the games. They spent way too much time on the esports on Madden, where they didn't even really touch on any kind of gameplay changes they might be making to it. FIFA was all about the journey feature, which was cool, but it felt kind of like they forced too much interest in it, or tried to force interest into it, which didn't really help them. I have high hopes for them later on, like in the actual Microsoft, Sony conferences at E3, but for their own personal one, they just failed to impress.
Agreed. I'm gonna agree with you, Alex. I'm gonna give them a D. I think you're spot on. I think that they showed the games that me and everybody else here had interest in did not get as much showtime as versus what they showed for the FIFA, the Madden, and the esports section. Given the fact that this is maybe like a hint to what's to come for the other press conferences, and maybe they don't want to step on the toes on that, but as their own press conference in terms of what they've shown, like for their games. In my personal interest, like I give them a B, and I don't think they showed enough. At least gameplay or whatnot. It was more, and more of these games were not even coming out for a while. The only game they confirmed is coming out this year was Battlefield 1. So majority of the games.
Oh, that is true.
Majority of the games they did show were not going to be coming out for a very long time. We'll probably won't hear them for a year or two. But that's going to be it, guys. So thank you for tuning in. If you're watching this on YouTube, thank you as well. So we have a bit of a break from here in the next press conference. The next press conference is going to happen. It's going to be 7 p.m. It's the Bethesda press conference. We're going to go live at 6 p.m. with our predictions, what we expect to see with this year's Bethesda press conference. Again, the footage will be uploaded onto our YouTube channel and also on the audio feeds as well on iTunes and on Stitcher. So with that, take a break, do what you need to do, get some, coffee, whatever, popcorn, and join us again in a couple hours. But yeah, thanks again, guys, and we'll see you guys in the future.